That's the developing story of this hour. When the job is yours to lose, well, this is the case with Justice Mandisa Maya. She interviewed with the Judicial Services Commission for the job of Deputy Chief Justice earlier today, being the sole candidate for the position after she was nominated by President Matamela Ramaphosa way back in February when she didn't make the cut for Chief Justice. eNCA reporter Heidi Jokers is here with us now live to give us the latest on today. Pretty much quick set. Some people would have said it was a mere formality, Heidi.
Yes, it was very quick indeed, Bradan. Very different to what we saw in February with those interviews for the Chief Justice position. And then he would also argue that it seems as though the questions were very similar compared to the questions that were asked and presented to President Mandisa Maya when she was interviewed for the Chief Justice position in February. But let's perhaps get some perspective from Mbegazeli Benjamin, who is from Judges Matter. Thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it. Let's just speak about this round of interviews. It seems as though it was rather obvious. She was nominated by President Cyril Ramaphosa to be the next Deputy Chief Justice, and we also do know that she accepted the nomination. It was just almost a procedural process to have this interview conducted. How would you say the interviews went?
Well, I think the interview went in an interesting way in terms of I think they were much tougher than they were when she was interviewed for Chief Justice. The questions that were asked seemed to be a lot more in-depth and asked specific issues, like, for example, how will she transition from being the head of one institution to being the deputy head of another, and how will she manage the relations not only from the people who report to her, but also with the Chief Justice. So that was an important aspect. But I think we also need to understand that the JSC interview at this point is part of a consultation that the president is required by the president to do. So he must consult both the JSC and leaders of political parties in parliament on their opinion of Justice Maya and her suitability to take on the role of Deputy Chief Justice. But overall, I think she did well. She had a tough crowd, but I think, she managed to cover all of the issues.
I want us to quickly speak about 2 or 3 issues that were mentioned as objections, if I can call them that, with regards to her writing, President Mandisa Maya writing a judgment in Xhosa, and that being questioned to say it was an emotional decision that she took when she wrote that judgment in one of our official languages. Also the issue of a lack of transformation within the Supreme Court of Appeal, and how it seems as though only white officials, white staff were being appointed, and there was a lack of transformation. She took great exception to both of those objections, saying that she is very proud of the fact that she is one of the first in the judiciary in this country to write a judgment in another language, but also the fact that there is transformation in the Supreme Court of Appeal.
I also found the language issue to be a strange objection to make. One does expect in a country such as ours, with at least 11 official languages and others that are non-official, that people writing legal documents in more than one language is a progressive move. And at the time at which she did, it was the first judgment in an indigenous African language. And so one did expect that she would be celebrated and not criticized. But I think the other issue that she said she was proud of having written the judgment, and yes, perhaps she could have written more, but practically speaking, with the volume of work that she faces, it's not always possible to write judgments in more than one language. And so for that reason, she accepts the criticism, but she is proud of having written a judgment in Xhosa.
Just lastly, speak to us about what happens now. Everybody's saying this is basically a done deal because the majority of the JSC endorsed and found that President Mandisa Maya is suitable to be the next Deputy Chief Justice. It will be, if she does get this position, which many are saying is probably likely, first woman to ever hold this position. Do you know what's going to happen next? Is it just the President basically signing off on this?
Yes, basically at this stage, the president has to confirm the appointment and tell us when she starts office. But I think we need to think about the broader implications of her appointment. Like she said, she will be moved to being the Deputy Chief Justice, which is the furthest that women have gone in the judiciary. But one of the important things that she mentioned is that even when she leaves her position at the Supreme Court of Appeal, she hopes that her replacement will still be a woman. And that's because currently there's only one person who's a woman holding a leadership position in the judiciary. It's a serious indictment on the judiciary itself, but particularly on the JSC. So we do hope that more women could be put in positions of leadership and hopefully diversify the judiciary in ways that speak to the people of South Africa, which is a majority black and a majority women country.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your insights and your great analysis. We do appreciate it. That is Mbegezeli Benjamin from Judges Matter Bradan, and I think it's important to highlight the fact that the president will, of course, have to basically sign off on this, but the fact that he nominated President Mandisa Maya, and this being more or less of a procedural matter and process to have this interview conducted and the JSC endorsing it, we'll just have to wait and see. And I think if this does happen, it's going to be a very proud and important moment and process for the JSC, for the judiciary in this country, and for Mandisa Maya, because she'll be the first woman to hold this position.
Yeah, and one would imagine there'll be a few stumbling blocks now, judging by the fact that the president himself nominated her way back in February. Something dramatic would have had to happen for him not to sign this one off. I take it as already a done deal for her. Thank you very much, Heidi Jokos. They're giving us a sense with that analysis there of what happened today. It's all the way to the Constitutional Court now open for Justice Mandisa Maya as the first female Deputy Chief Justice of the Republic of South Africa ever, first ever woman to be in that position.